Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from around the world. Steve Knapp, the Mindset Warrior here. And today I'm joined by the amazing Melissa Kent. Hi, Melissa. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Great. Now, I've been looking through your bio, and I'm very excited about this because I have so much respect for anyone involved in education and helping our children develop. But I think going down a bit deeper into being passionate about helping the kids with special needs is a real important place in the world. So, yeah, I'd love to know what got you into that field and what sort of led you down that path.
Sure. When I first started teaching, I worked with really young students, ages 3 and 4. And I just gravitated towards the students who needed just a little extra push. So I went and got my master's in exceptional student education. After that, I've done over 10 years of teaching, and the core of it has been with children with special needs. I feel like I learn more from them than I teach them. They're amazing kids, and whatever challenges they're going through, it's just incredible to be part of their lives. And then I actually just became a educational consultant and advocate.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. And I love that. I love that you say that you learn as much, if not more, from them than they do for you. I think having that, it's an important ability that a lot of people don't have, to understand that no matter how young they are, you can learn so much and gain so much insight into how they're seeing the world and viewing things.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how many years have you been involved with the teaching?
Oh, with over 10 years.
Over 10 years.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
That's huge. And is it something that you see, are you going to try to develop further out of, like, spreading your, sorry, just lost the ability to speak English there, spreading into other avenues, or you're really just sort of going to carry the focus on with where you're at the moment?
Oh, well, I actually just left teaching to continue advocating for students. I know there's no one size fits all educational path. So I provide advocacy services for families who may need guidance on the process, and explaining the process to them and getting the best services for their students.
That's great. That's great. And I presume the parents would be loving having that additional support rather than feeling like they're just moving out on their own, trying to navigate their way through it all.
Yeah. I know the ins and outs of it, so I love helping navigate parents and families through it, because I know it can be an intimidating process, and it shouldn't have to be. And they shouldn't feel alone or feel like they don't understand what this school is talking about. So I like to make sure that parents truly understand what special education plan their child has and what it means and what extra services they can get with that plan.
That's great. That's great. What sort of, and is there a large range of services available at the moment, or do you think there's a lot more that could be on offer to people?
Well, here in the United States, we have a continuum of services. So, for example, a student with autism may be in a self-contained class, or they may be in a gen ed class with supports and accommodations. The same goes for students with specific learning disabilities or health impairments. Maybe they just need an extra accommodation or intervention to help them reach their full potential. It's my goal to make sure that the students receive everything that they need based on their individual needs.
That's an awesome goal, isn't it? Like you said, we're not all just going to fit in with one particular blend of everything. It's going to always have to be a bit more tailored to the individual.
Exactly.
We've had a comment from the mental health warrior, Adam, and the mental health warrior's wife, both saying good evening to us. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And how challenging has it been through COVID times? I presume that's brought a lot more variance to the whole field of how these kids are coping with their schooling.
It definitely has brought a whole new world to education, but we've gotten creative with online supports and, having a mentor online for some students is really so important.
Yeah. Have you found any benefits out of this? I know we always seem to fall back onto the negative of what's come from all of this, but has any positives turned up that have been beneficial?
I have seen people help others in ways that I've never imagined. I have seen educators go above and beyond what their job descriptions are. I have seen people volunteer their time to make sure families are fed. I've seen so many good things, even though I know we are living in troubling times. But if you look for the good, you'll find it.
I couldn't agree more. I'm very similar. I've noticed so many inspiring stories of people out there that are going above and beyond, that the ones that seem to be battling the most and having the hardest struggles are the ones that are reaching out the most and wanting to really be that bit of light and hope and help for everybody else. It's been beautiful to watch on that side of things. And we've got a couple of questions from. First of all, Adam says that he loves your accent.
Don't know, is it a Florida accent? I don't know.
Yeah, he's probably all confused trying to work out Florida, Melbourne, Australia. We're throwing all the different sounds at him.
And I didn't know I had an accent, so thank you.
Yeah, none of us do we? We're just us. And we've got, do you think there should be more awareness of special needs in schools?
100% agree. Absolutely. I believe in awareness and acceptance and understanding. Just a little more understanding goes so far,
Yeah. Do you find that being young minds, the fellow students have a better understanding and care for their special needs peers than possibly the actual school structure does at times?
Yes, I do. Kids are kids, they just want to have fun and play with whoever and learn from whoever. I wish that we all had that mindset, like they're all like, you're my friend, no matter what. We all have differences. That's all it is. It's just a little difference. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody has differences.
That's the beauty, isn't it? We're all born that way.
Yes.
It's our conditioning that changes us to decide that we have to have judgments of people. If we could just hold on and nurture that space of we're all just one, we can just hang out and matter. There's no having to think, that person's a bit different or strange. It's just no, that's just another kid that I'm going to play with. It makes life so much simpler and pleasurable.
I love that about kids, that they're very inclusive.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Obviously, I'm not in the education field side of things, so I'm not sure if you've got any thoughts on how that can filter from the top to be a much more normalized way of teaching.
I think just the more we talk about it, brings more awareness. So things like doing this and advocating for students and supporting them.
Yeah. That's the secret to everything, isn't it? The more you have the discussions and get the word out there, it makes it so much easier. And how do you find, is there, in the advocate side of things, do you think you could use a lot more people like yourself so there is a larger pool to be providing the guidance for the parents?
I do believe the world needs more advocates, especially advocates for special needs students. So that's why I'm very proud to be an advocate, because that's my passion, is helping children with special needs. And I really do feel that like they deserve everything that they need, and they're entitled to a free and appropriate education. So I love helping them get access to more.
That's awesome. Beautiful purpose. The more I hear you talk about this, I just love it. It's the passion comes out of you as soon as you go to speak. Their face lights up, and you can tell that it means like so much to you. And I think that I guarantee that all the parents and students would be very happy to be in your hands, guiding them forwards for sure. Then what else have we got coming through? What's your opinion on teachers having more training to help children with special needs?
I think it's great. I think most of the teachers here do have trainings on children with special needs. However, some of them do need extra training. I would love for the whole world to get training on special needs students. That would be amazing, because the more we accept and understand them, the more we can all, get along, and they have their strengths, and we can learn from them.
Yeah, I agree so much. It's just realizing that everyone's normal.
Mm-hmm.
We all just have our own different personalities and quirks. It's not a matter of trying to single out everybody as being different. It's more being inclusive to the whole and knowing that we're all gonna, no matter what, everybody's got something that we could be judged on. How about we just all accept that and our flaws and just work together and embrace the beauties, not the negative side of things.
It's beautiful that we're all different. The world would be boring if we were all the same.
So boring. Yeah, we need it. It's crucial. And we got another question from Adam is, why do you think kids, especially with autism, tend to get bullied more than people that don't have autism?
I think because some people are not educated on what autism is. So we definitely need to bring more education and awareness to people to let them know that this is just a difference. It doesn't make them, any less of a person.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, a lot of the time, if you didn't, someone wasn't labelled with the tag autism, would you know, and would the outside world be looking at them differently? Or would you just say, no, they just have a slight different personality to me, but I love all this other great stuff about them. It's sometimes just having that tag can be enough to trigger people to have to go, oh no, that's a bit strange, I don't understand. It's sort of, people get confused unnecessarily sometimes.
Yeah, they definitely do. So bringing awareness to the fact that it's just a difference, and we can learn from them just as much as they can learn from us.
Yeah. And it's amazing what you can learn from them. And once you take the time, I've found I'm a junior sports coach, have been for a lot of times, and I've had a couple of my players have had autism, and I know they've said in the past that they've had coaches that are like, oh yeah, no, they're no good. I only play them for half a game. They don't get it. They're never going to get anywhere. And I'm like, the hell are you talking about? You need to finish up coaching right now, because I had no awareness that they had autism. I just totally dug into the individual and went, what's going to work for you? You seem to love it when I heap praise on you and tell you that you're doing an amazing job. Let's do more of that. And it was funny how the longer that went on and the more I wanted to learn and understand about the individual, not anything to do with why they were the way they are, just getting into exactly who they were, they blossomed and grew to where, I gave them my coach's award at the end of the season because they'd come so far. And I said to her parents at the end, I said, your daughter had this in her for the last 5 years of playing netball. This has been there the whole time. She just had to be asked some questions and felt included. And then her confidence just skyrocketed. She found a voice. It was amazing to watch. I think just that ability to, take the time to understand someone on an individual level can be so important to them.
Absolutely. I believe in looking at the whole child, not just like the diagnosis or their disability, because first of all, they're children first. And
and they have so many skills. They have so many skills that if you take the time to sort of have a look at them, you'll go, wow, you can do things that other people just can't do, and just celebrate the hell out of them. It's magic.
And they love it.
They so do. It's amazing. Oh, we've got more coming through from Adam. Do you think there needs to be a global request in getting lessons taught in schools on disabilities such as autism, ADHD? Can't quite read that next one. I think we get it.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I do think there should be a global education somehow, like if somebody could come into schools and explain what this is and what are the symptoms of that, what to look for, early indicator warnings. Because the sooner, if there is like a learning disability, the sooner we can catch it, the better. Intervention is the best prevention. So the quicker that parents and teachers can intervene, the better off.
Yeah, and I love a global approach. It's so nice when everyone's just on that level playing field and you can have it it's a core need that we all have to have. And, well, this could be your next thing. You could be expanding this, or this could get the message to everyone. And that's the challenge, isn't it, though, trying to break the barriers through everywhere. And we might have to start off in Florida, Melbourne, and the UK. We've sort of covered all corners then. We can
I would love to. And yes, I'm definitely starting off in Florida.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'd love that climate. That's the perfect place to start. We've got another one from Adam. When it comes to special needs, who do you look up to as a role model to give you the better understanding and passion to do what you do?
Throughout college, I had several mentor professors that worked very closely with me. Some of them I still keep in contact with, where they were doctorates in the fields, and I would just pick their brain, and I don't think that they would mind. I would ask questions. I had so many wonderful teachers that I interned with when I was an intern that just saw the light in me and just wanted to really support me in the field. And I feel so grateful that I've had so many people support me and guide me and get me to where I am, to be at this level in my profession. It's good to have mentors, because sometimes you'll get discouraged and feel like you're not helping, but you are.
100%. And I'm so glad you touched on it, because I'm a big mentor believer as well, and think that so many people are afraid to ask for that help and think that, they're so far ahead of me, why would they talk to me? But the beauty about mentors is that they come from that place of wanting to grow that legacy, and they are always more than willing to have that discussion with anybody who wants to ask them a question. I think that having a mentor, you can't go wrong. It's imperative to success, I suppose, to pick the brains of the people that have already been there and done that, and a lot of the time they'll gain things from you as well. They'll go, wow, come up with something that I hadn't thought of in all these years. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's great to accept their feedback, even if it's not something you want to hear. They're only trying to help.
Yeah, 100%. A bit of constructive criticism can go a long way too, can't it? Yep. Adam said, he was very stubborn in asking for help with his challenges, but he's glad he did.
It can be very hard to ask for.
I think I was close to 40 years old when I realized there was a bit of power in asking for help. I said, no, let's do this on our own. Don't want to be a burden. Don't want to look. I suppose for me, I think the biggest problem with asking for help was I didn't want to look foolish, or like I didn't know what I was talking about, and it held me back. So I suppose, how do you find that with kids? They're probably more open to asking for help than we are as well.
Some are and some aren't. Sometimes I do work specifically on kids, on self-advocacy skills, teaching them to raise their hand and asking me to repeat a question if they didn't understand it. Because there's nothing wrong with, having to repeat myself to them or read questions out loud to them. So that is something else I'm very passionate about. I love teaching self-advocacy skills to students with special needs, because it goes such a long way, and it's a life skill that they can use throughout their whole lives.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how about on the other side with the parents? Do they have more difficulty in sort of wanting to come to you when they feel a bit stuck or trapped in where they are?
I try to build a relationship with all the families I work with. So I do have the good rapport with the parents. I understand that they are entrusting me with their child. I'm a mother myself, so I do understand that children are your most prized possessions. So I do look at every student like I would if they were my own child, and really do try to get to know them, their circumstance, their family, and what areas they need help in.
Yeah, that's awesome. The same approach as the children, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
really getting to know and ask the right questions and make them feel comfortable and relaxed. That's awesome. I love it.
Mhm.
And Adam says, Melissa, on your perspective, what's your views on autism and mental health?
And what specifically?
What specifically, Adam? What would you like to know? I presume it's going to be from a teaching perspective, but I won't put words in Adam's mouth. That would be very rude of me. The similarities between autism and mental health.
Yeah, I mean, mental health is global. Everybody is affected by mental health. I know that, if they do have autism, they may have another disorder. Or the same goes if people have physical impairments. They may have a mental disorder too. Nobody's immune from mental health. So I don't really look at it like just like that. I just look at it as a whole picture.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, I think, too. Have you ever found any issues with people that are battling with special needs? I suppose it wouldn't be as noticeable early age, but as they progress with people with special needs, can that lead to any mental health, like leading to any depression or things if they aren't treated fairly and openly growing up?
Sure, it definitely can. In fact, it can lead to them dropping out of school earlier. It can lead to suspension or expulsion because they feel misunderstood because nobody has ever helped them the way that they need it. So yeah, it's very important. That's why I think I love teaching the self-advocacy skills to them so they can speak up for their rights. They're a human being and they deserve the same respect that we all get.
Yeah, I think we want them to be understood before they have to feel like they get to the point of needing to lash out, and then all of a sudden they just become the naughty kid, and then that becomes, oh, well, they're naughty because of this. No, that they're not naughty. They're crying out for help and wanting to be heard and understood in their pain, that they just want to live a life like everybody else and not be put in a box over here in the corner. They want to be in the middle of the room with everybody and having that same conversation. And the longer you exclude that, the more that frustration and anger is going to build up inside until it does unfortunately reach a breaking point. It's not fair on them, and then it becomes not fair on everybody else around them. It's, like you said, it's really coming back to basics, and what we see at the end always comes from what happens at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So I try to, at the beginning of school years and building relationships with the family, is just really building that foundational climate, a positive climate with them, especially in the classroom. Like, we all have turns. All of our voices are heard. We're all equal. We're all important here. You matter.
I love, you matter. It's everyone matters. And it'd be great if we could just have that all equals starting from the preschool years through the early education into the high schools, into college, and into workplaces. It'd be nice as adults if we were all actually equals and had an equal say, not feeling like we're pigeonholed sometimes. Mm-hmm. Oh, and we've got one from Kerry. She's going off topic here. I think it's because I didn't run with her normal start where she likes to ask questions of us. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes.
I'm always outnumbered on that one. I'm sure I'm the only one that says no, but I promise if I have it on my pizza, I still eat it. So I guess, Melissa, when we were sort of just backtracking a little to where we were sort of got onto the thoughts of trying to have a global kind of way of looking at all of this, have you got any thoughts, like this is, I know we've only just touched on it, any thoughts on how we can possibly make this a reality and where we can even start?
Education.
Perfect.
It needs to start at home, in the home too. If parents teach their kids about differences, then they bring that to the schools and they're more accepting and understanding of others. Bringing it to the schools at the local level and bringing it to the communities, having awareness, and just, we're all different.
Yeah. Yeah, we're totally different. And I guess it's harder. I mean, I think I've noticed there does seem to be a lot more special needs children. Well, maybe they weren't diagnosed before, but now it's much more in the forefront of people's minds in classrooms. And do you think it's hard for parents of, say, my generation that didn't grow up in that environment in schools where it was just like, or either that or we had no idea. We were just totally oblivious and life just went as normal. Is it hard for them to have that understanding and conversations with their kids just through, I don't want to say ignorance, because I always feel like someone that's ignorant is deliberately not wanting to understand, but just that not having that knowledge imparted on them as they grew up and became parents themselves?
It can definitely be hard on parents. But that's where I like to come in and help and let them know that their child matters. And we're going to get supports and accommodations set up for your child so they can meet their fullest academic potential. And in life too, if they can succeed in school and get the supports they need, then they can find a job that they may gravitate towards, or a career path that they may want to explore. And you can get accommodations set up in college and in the workplace as well. So.
Yeah, awesome. I love that forward thinking. Like, sort of, we're not just trying to look after you here. It's making sure that you're set up going forward as an adult as well. And I suppose, how do we even, I suppose the parents of non-special needs kids, it's probably even more difficult to try to get the word out to them because it's not in the forefront of their mind that they need to have understanding and have the conversation with their kids around it. How do you think we can better get the greater population to have an understanding around this?
Acceptance and just looking at people like we're all human beings. Just educating yourself, either if it's through like reading magazines or books about certain things, because the more you know about it, the more you can understand it, then the more better you can help and assist.
Yeah, I love that. It's just like, it's the same as we touched on earlier. It's more, the more we can have these discussions and conversations, and the more it gets shared out there and people happen to look into it and go, wow, I'd never thought of things that way. I'm going to, even if like one person that doesn't sort of understand this watches our interview and says, I'm going to have a discussion with my child and say, you've got a friend in school who's on the spectrum, don't you? And they go, yeah. And then they just open up that conversation and turn it into a positive. If we can just do that with one person at a time, I think that's going to make a world of difference.
Absolutely. It will make a world of a difference for that one child that you're talking about, at least.
Yeah, and then just hopefully that conversation just rolls into another conversation, and the mums or dads at school pick up at the gate can have a conversation, and it just keeps spreading, and it'd be magical. What's Adam saying? Oh my God. Adam's saying there's no pressure on us, but he's transferred to watching us from his phone to the television. Wow. He wants us on the big screen. So, we've made us on TV.
Hi, Adam. I didn't know I was on TV. That's cool.
Awesome. And Kerry's got a question for you. She said she's thinking of doing a show about mums and mental health. And would you be interested in coming onto that show?
Absolutely.
Yay! There you go. And Adam says here in the UK, where statistics may have changed now, so 1 in 6 children with autism are being excluded from school over the 1 in 24 children that do not have autism.
Yeah, that's unfortunate to hear. We do practice inclusion here in the States, depending on the child. If they're ready to be in a general education class, then they have access to that. Well, they start out in a general education class first, and then if there's more of a need, then they can be placed in a self-contained class or be in a general education class with accommodations and supports. And sometimes, all they need is accommodations. Sometimes some kids just need like 15 minutes of like self-advocacy skills. It all depends on the child. I'm sorry to hear that statistic is pretty high.
Yeah, that's horrible. And I like the way you said there that like start off in the general field. Don't start off outside and have them in that excluded mindset straight away. Like start them off here with everybody else, and then learn what little extras and things can be added for the individual, so that they're always actually part of the greater community. I think that's definitely sounds to me like the best way forward. To not start off from the outside and bring in, start off on the inside and then adapt around would make things so much easier for them to feel included.
They're students first. And this year specifically, I worked a lot on inclusion practices. And it was great to see that they are happy to be, with their same age peers in a general education class.
Yeah, it just makes so much sense. You don't want them starting off feeling like outsiders straight away. It's just not putting them in the right mind space for learning and growing and developing, is it? So I think, the more we can have inclusivity on that front, and whether there is, I presume it is very difficult with the amount of time it takes in your learnings to become a teacher. I know we're always saying, well, teachers should be teaching this and that and that and learning that. And I think I said on our chat the other night when we were talking that like it's almost like teachers would have to do a 12-year degree with all the things that we expect of them. Could it possibly work where we have more of a mental health and special needs teaching program, but try to pull a certain amount of teachers into that to get that real deeper specialized understanding? I guess it's difficult because you're going to have them in all different areas. So I don't know. I'm just trying to throw ideas out there and may not work, but just how we can make this a more understood field for the educators.
Yes, and luckily most of the schools here do have a school psychologist and a school guidance counselor and a school social worker. So we do have resources here. However, sometimes parents don't know how to get the resources in place for their students. I don't know what the schools do in the UK.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, Australia is very similar. We have the guidance and chaplains, and so you can sort of cover across what feels most comfortable, and then they have their own separate skill sets that'll kind of work across all different things depending on the individual. Still such a long way to go. I know it's all early steps, but I think it's nice just to see that this is actually in place now and there is a foundation to build on, rather than it was a bit of a scattergun approach for a number of years where everyone was trying to find their feet and work this out on how to make things work going forward. And finally, I think from the sort of work you're doing, we're finally starting to see a pathway up from the foundation now that's starting to work.
It really is exciting to think about the long term of it, to help these kids grow to be successful citizens of society.
Yeah, and they all are going to be, because they've got people like you behind them fighting in their corner that are letting them know how awesome they are, and they're on the path to success. It's awesome.
Every kid deserves a cheerleader.
I think every person does. Yeah. I don't think you ever stop, even when you're in your 90s. I think there should be someone in your corner that's definitely jumping on board to give you a bit of a pep in your step every now and then. And we got another one from Adam. Oh, if I Get that out the way. There we go. Okay, come on. Let's get back to Melissa's story. When you found out you were becoming a mum for the very first time, what was going through your mind? And did you keep it to yourself for a while? Or were you overexcited and told everyone straight away?
Actually, I got pregnant shortly after we got married. My husband and I got married, and then a couple months later, we had a baby. So it was actually a very exciting time for us. And we told everybody, yeah, it was so exciting.
That's awesome. It's like a whirlwind, all the great things happening all at once.
Yes, and now he will be starting high school next week.
Awesome. That's cool. Oh, that's a fun age. That's when they're really learning about themselves and finding out where they fit in the world, when you're sort of becoming teenagers and little young adults.
And I also have a 6-year-old daughter who will be starting first grade.
Oh, beautiful. So they're both sort of starting their journey, same journey at a different place. I love that. That's awesome. Oh, okay, another random one. When you're going to have a child, find out sex or surprise at the end?
What's that?
You find out their sex or gender, or do you get a surprise right at the end?
Oh, when I was pregnant, I found out for both of them.
Oh, see, my wife made me, and I'm a surprise guy. Like when Christmas, birthdays, I don't want to know anything that's coming. I want the big, and I'm like, It was good to be able to plan, though. I must admit, it was good to know what was coming on. So with my boys, I didn't know, but it was just exciting at the end. But yeah, so I kind of get both sides. It's just good to get different opinions on what's going on out there. What's that, Adam? No, Adam says, no wonder men lose their hair young. Oops, sorry, Steve. Oh, he's having a dig at me. Thanks, mate. I'll just take that you're saying I'm young. I won't worry about you saying the hair loss side of things. I'll stop that side. Oh, another one from Kerry. Do you prefer cats or dogs?
That's a tough one. We have a dog, so I'm going to say dogs, but I grew up with cats, so I love both.
See, back to the inclusivity. They're all love both. And Adam says, what a show. You've smashed this. Couldn't agree more, Melissa. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and we've learned so much. And I think there's going to be a lot more to learn coming as well. It's a no. I know what you're doing is truly magical and amazing, and such a needed service, and your pride and passion in what you do is so obvious, and I'm sure that you're just going to keep growing and growing, and this is going to take over globally at some point in time.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been an absolute treat. So on that note, guys, everyone who's tuned in and watches us on replay, thanks so much for taking the time. We really appreciate you. And Melissa, thank you so much again. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you all soon, guys.
Bye-bye.